Sorry for my writing, but I'm having kind of a hard time concentrating right now. You see, one of my hobbies is photography. I can do pictures of people just fine, and nature as well, but my true passion lies with abandoned buildings. There's just something about them that draws me in. Desolate homes, ghost towns, and especially old and empty factories. Those places make for great photos. You can pretty much get insane pictures out of everything, from light falling through broken glass to long abandoned machinery, looking almost like parts of an ancient civilization. Honestly, even if you don't have a camera or don't like taking pictures, walking around abandoned properties is a great way to find inspiration. At least, that's what I would have said yesterday. Today, not so much. I found a new spot last week, an old factory sitting empty since about 2010. I mean, according to the internet. When I stepped foot inside for the first time, I thought I had hit the mother lode. Dirt-caked, broken windows, creepers and moss everywhere, old, completely rusted machinery. It was an absolute dream come true. Well, that was, until I stepped onto what I thought was just a piece of old and weathered metal, then suddenly broke through. Luckily, I didn't fall too far. I don't know what I would have done if this old factory had had a giant basement. Probably broke my neck and died. But I fell about 9 feet before I splashed into something I first thought was oil. Only, it kind of stank like hell and was strangely warm. Of course, I jumped up, pulled my camera out of the stuff, and luckily found a small ladder right next to the part I had fallen through. Thank fuck that piece of shit held my weight. Otherwise, I would have taken a second tumble into that stuff. And I don't even want to know what would have happened to me then. As things stood, I tried to wipe it off once I was above ground, but had a hard time getting this stuff off of my skin. So I stopped my outing then and there and headed home. You can probably imagine how pissed off I was. Oh yeah, and my camera won't turn on either. So I'm pretty sure something is fried in there as well. But that's not my biggest problem, to be honest. I hopped into the shower and scrubbed myself, especially my hands, for close to half an hour before I felt even remotely clean again. That stench was something else, and the feeling of some thin sheen of oil sticking to my skin hasn't vanished even now. The real problem began after, though. It was evening, and I was sitting in front of my camera, almost completely disassembled, trying to clean one tiny part after another with rubbing alcohol. But the progress was slow. That was when that itch first started. I felt it on the back of my left hand. It kind of reminded me when I fell into some nettles or ivy as a child. More stinging than a mosquito bite, and far smaller. It's hard to describe. Like, imagine getting stung by hundreds of tiny mosquitoes grouped together all over your skin. And yeah, I realized then that when I fell into that hole, only my hands were completely unprotected. I couldn't continue cleaning my camera. That's how bad it got, even though I was wearing rubber gloves by then. My first thought was that I had either fallen into something acidic or some kind of lye or the like. I went to the bathroom again, held my hands under the faucet, and watched the skin turn red, while I switched up the temperature from almost scalding hot to as cold as it got. It didn't help. Not really. This itching, stinging sensation was somehow completely unaffected by the water now, and it felt like it was coming from under my skin. I groaned and scrubbed, but it didn't help at all. The only thing that changed was the color of my skin. It was driving me mad. The sensation was running through both of my hands, and I couldn't concentrate on anything else. It was torturous, bad enough that I honestly thought about getting out some steel wool. Don't worry, I stopped myself before I could go that far. I took some meds, but it didn't help, at all. So I rummaged around my workbench and found two things: rubbing alcohol and an old bottle of turpentine oil I once used to remove paint from a piece of wood. First off, I know it's bad. You can get the shakes from using that on your skin. But I honestly didn't care about that back then. I couldn't. The itching. It was so bad. Like millions of tiny insects crawling around the inside of my skin. I was panting and half screaming as I took the oil with me into the bathroom and then poured it over a part of my hand. It felt like I was spilling lava onto my skin. The pain was brutal enough to make me see stars. But after not even 10 seconds, I suddenly felt the itch finally disappearing and getting replaced by this dull tremor running through that part. Not thinking straight anymore, I poured the rest of the oil into the sink, then bit onto a towel and submerged both my hands in it. The pain was blinding. I've never felt anything like that before. I wasn't seeing stars, but my whole vision went bright white. My hands were on fire, and the sensation was shooting up my arms, through the shoulders, and back down into my chest. I feared I was having a heart attack from the agony, and I think I blacked out since the next thing I remember is lying on the cold tiles of the bathroom, shaking like a leaf. But the itch had stopped, gone away completely. I felt this strange tremor in my hands, stood up, and washed them off with water once again. Some part of me feared that the itch would return, but thankfully, it didn't. Well, not immediately, at least. I felt exhausted, so I sat back down on the bathroom floor and kept looking at my hands. Slowly but surely, they were regaining their color, even if it seemed a tiny bit off. A slight tremor was running through them, though I think, well, I hope that was just from the stress. I must have nodded off, and I came to a few hours later, suddenly feeling a stinging pain in my fingers. My fingertips felt raw as I woke up and noticed that I had been scratching them against the rough caulk between the tiles. There were a few drops of blood smeared around now, and the sight woke me up in an instant. It was back. That damned itch. Only now, it wasn't all over my hands. Every spot that I had submerged in the turpentine was okay. But there are spots you can't reach like that. The skin beneath my fingernails was itching so bad. Even in my sleep, I had subconsciously tried to scratch it. I closed my hands into fists and buried my nails into my palms, but it didn't help. It won't stop. I've tried everything. Rubbing them against ice, holding them beneath hot water. I have salves and drops. I even did the turpentine bath again. But I can't get to it. This itch, it's driving me up the walls. It's beneath every single fingernail. And I don't know what to do. I've started biting at the edges until they almost bleed. I nearly scratched through the nail of my thumb. It's red and raw. I can't go to the ER. I just can't. There are small black spots on my ring finger, under the nail. I think they're forming there. It almost looks like holes. Should I get the pliers? Or try to burn them? I don't want to lose my finger. Oh God. I think I'm gonna be sick. Please help me.